Live stream. So we're about to go live on YouTube here in a second.
Okay.
So our YouTube, they get to see the before, the filming, the after. Does that make sense? That's the whole
Yep.
like get up of the whole YouTube.
Yep.
You're live now.
What's up, YouTube? We're getting set up, getting ready to go. You see the guest here in a second. Back to that. Bam. All right, so let's just lay back conversation. We're gonna
Okay.
chit chat, yik yak about whatever we get into, and at the end, I'm gonna ask you three specific questions. We ask everybody on the podcast,
Okay.
and then you get to plug away anything you want to plug away at.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna hit record. I will yik yak for a couple minutes, and it's hold on. I gotta make sure. Canizario.
Canizaro.
Canizaro.
Yeah.
Canizaro.
Yep.
Canizaro. I'm gonna still fuck that up.
That's okay. It's okay. Most people do.
Canizaro. I knew that. All right. What's up, OWPS family across the globe? We're here again. Another wonderful podcast. Got a wonderful guest this week. Episode 104. We're working on tonight. What a weekend. Spent the weekend in Broadhead Manor with the lovely Bree, which Bree Hollingshead will be filling in tonight for me for Sean Coletta. I think I upgraded. We shall see. I don't know.
Oh, total upgrade.
Maybe in the looks department for sure. But we'll see on the other department here by the end. Good time in Broadhead.
Definitely a good time in Broadhead. It was amazing, and I highly recommend if you have not been, you've got to go. That place is like Disneyland and has everything for the paranormal investigator.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I call it a true haunting.
Oh, 100% hands down.
100%.
True, intelligent haunting.
Well, we're gearing up this week to do an event at Blackford County Jail. We will do a Paranormal 101 class, and we will have a public ghost hunt after that. We're gearing up for that. Then after that, we're off to the Windermere
Yeah.
to have a good time with Lee Allen and them.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
Ooh, who's that voice in the background? I don't know. I think it's the ghost. No, it's not. It's our friend, Teresa. We'll just say Teresa. I want to fuck it up.
That works.
Canizaro. There we go.
Yay, you did
Not even Italian.
it. I am not Italian.
Buried into.
Yeah, and my husband's not even Italian. It's his stepdad's last name, so
Oh,
he's as white as I am.
somebody's has to be Italian along the way to get that name. So
Yeah,
how's it going?
going good.
Going
Going
good.
good.
Well, I heard you two lovely ladies got together and went to a lunch.
We did.
We did. It was a great
It was
time.
so much fun.
It
I
was.
could have stayed longer, but our meter ran out.
Yeah,
Ours.
we had to keep refilling meters, and we were just like, well, 4 hours. 4 hours that flew. It was
Yeah, it really
amazing.
went really fast.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of topics I want to cover tonight. You know, the whole TAPS thing, Trips Paranormal, your hometown team here, and a wonderful event coming up at the end of the year that you are now and your team are running. So we'll get to all that. But first, let's talk about, I don't know. I always ask, why the paranormal?
My story is going to be different than I think the vast majority of people who get into this. So like, I didn't grow up in a haunted house. I never had any experience as a kid. We went on a trip to Tombstone, and I was like, this place is kind of creepy. And we went through the bird cage and all that kind of stuff. And it really piqued my interest because I saw like a sign that said like ghost tours or whatever. So that was really kind of my spark of interest. And then when we got back from that trip, I started, this was a long 20, long time ago. And
back in the 1900s.
Yeah, yes. And so, the paranormal was still very taboo. There wasn't a lot, there was hardly any teams out, at least where I was. I feel like there's a lot more here in the Midwest than,
Yeah.
but it's also becoming more mainstream. But anyway, so I found a local meetup group um, that met at a haunted park one Sunday a month, and they just talked. It was just a talking group, just talking about the paranormal and like the new like research and everything. And I was so hungry for it, and I couldn't get enough. And then there was some other gals that were there, and none of us had really done anything before. And we were like, "Do you want to like go somewhere at night?" And so that's kind of the three of us kind of hooked up and went around, and and then we just met more people and more people, and ended up in a couple different teams, and yeah, so that was kind of how I got into it. I
Right.
didn't like see a ghost as a kid or anything.
Right. No, I mean it's definitely, it's a different story than most.
Yeah,
It's unique. Tombstone is very unique.
it's amazing.
So I can see why it would, spark your interest into the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
So, you live here in Huntington, Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
but you're from San Diego, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Why in the hell are you here in Huntington, Indiana?
If I had a dollar, even a penny for every time somebody asked me that in the last almost 7 years, like I would be so rich. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
So,
well,
you
people,
know,
start to think about your sanity here.
that's fine. That's fine. I mean, we're kind of crazy to live in a 2,000 or 20,000 square foot building. But my husband and I were both born and raised in San Diego. It's all I knew. It's all he knew. Um, After we had kids, and we just kind of got the itch to try something different. Um, in California was becoming more and more difficult to live in. San Diego was getting very, very crowded, very busy. I mean, it was so expensive, to live. And the school systems we didn't feel like we're the greatest. A lot of programs were being cut, for the kids' schools. So we had them in like a private charter school. And so we just decided, like, let's leave, let's go somewhere else. So we didn't know where we were going to end up. And in 2016, we had kind of given, or in 2015, we had given ourselves like a 5-year plan. Like we have 5 years to figure out where we want to go. And so it was the summer of 2016, we came out here to Indiana on a road trip for a family reunion. Um, and we decided we were going to spend the first week doing family stuff, because I have some distant relatives like cousins and great aunts and uncles in Fort Wayne area, because my mom spent part of her childhood. So that's the tie to the Midwest. But then, she grew up in San Diego, most of it. So anyway, so we decided we were going to take an extra week and just drive all around Indiana, Ohio, just kind of see what we liked. Because coming here as a kid so often for reunions and stuff, like I just thought the Midwest was like this magical place. So funny. It's like, it's so pretty here, and like it's so
Well,
open and
I'm
green.
begging to wonder if your mom didn't drop you on your head a couple times.
I mean, maybe, maybe. So, so yeah. So originally, Adam, my husband, he wanted to become a farmer, which was hilarious because we're city slickers, and like he worked as a heavy crane operator for the local utility. And I'm like, and you want to drive a tractor? Like what? So, but we'll come out here and we'll find a farmhouse and a bunch of land. So we were just driving around looking at farm properties. We had like realtor.com on our phones as we're driving around, and we ended up down here in Huntington looking at a farmhouse, and we were trying to figure out how to get back to the 24, to get back to Fort Wayne where our hotel was. And we ended up driving down the street where the building is, because we had found this other little house that was this little brick house that was for sale for $10,000. And we looked at each other, we're like, we could put this on a credit card. Like we were just so in shock at how cheap everything was out here. And so we literally just happened to drive by the building, and it had a for sale sign out front. And it was just sheer curiosity that my husband was like, well, if you can buy a house 1 block away for 10 grand, like I want to find out how much, a building like this is. So we called, and the realtor was like, oh, it's $89,000. And he's like, I can be there in 5 minutes. Do you want to see the inside? So I'm like, yeah, because I love old architecture and old buildings, because you don't really get a lot of that in California. Things aren't as old as they are here. And so we spent 2 hours inside just walking around and taking it in, and then had no idea it was haunted. No idea. I didn't even really even suspect it at the time. And after we left, we talked about it and we're like, this is stupid. Like, this is not what we want to move here for. And we called the realtor the next day and we're like, thank you, but we're not interested. But then for the next, we went back home to San Diego, and for the next couple weeks, it's all we could think about. And so we started actually researching, like, okay, how much are property taxes? Because we paid $9,000 a year in property taxes on our house in California. What is it going to be like? Utilities, like, heating and cooling. What is it zoned? What can we do? What can't we do? So we just started like diving in and researching, and everything like seemed reasonable. And so we bought it. So we called and, we gave them a full price cash offer, and they accepted. And so we had to figure out, that was in the fall of 2016. And so I didn't want to move right away, because as somebody who lived near the beach my whole life, I didn't want my first winter to be, or my first, season to be winter, when I've never driven in snow. Visited snow plenty of times. I grew up skiing. I like Lake Tahoe and stuff, but I'd never driven in it. So I was a total pansy, and I'm like, no, I'll be ruined forever if winter is our first, season. And so we ended up moving out here in the spring after we sold our house. We never even put our house on the market in San Diego. Like, our neighbor was like, hey, we have a friend that wants to move here from, get this, Marion, Indiana.
Oh,
so the people that bought our house in San Diego are from Marion. We're like, that is not a coincidence. Yeah. So we're like, holy crap. So it was that first, so in October, right after we closed escrow, Adam and I flew out here, just the two of us, to try to figure out how to winterize a 20,000 square foot building, which was hilarious because we had no clue what we were doing. But we spent 2 nights here. And the first night we were here, the first thing we noticed was how quiet it gets, because the walls are 18 inches thick of like stone, steel, brick. And so
nice and cozy.
Yeah, but it's like it's so quiet, it like hurts. It's so quiet, it's loud, where it's like it hurts your ears. And we were woken up, I was woken up, we were hearing all kinds of stuff in the building, like footsteps going up and down the main stairwell, because at the time, we were sleeping on the second floor, which is now like our house level, but it wasn't closed off, so you could hear everything echoing. So we could hear footsteps. Adam woke me up at one time, was like, are you whistling in your sleep? And I'm like, no, I'm not whistling. So that was kind of our first experiences here. And actually that next day we drove up to Walmart and bought some fans to drown out the noise so we could actually sleep. Because and even now, all 5 of us sleep with noisemakers every single night here.
Yeah,
you hear stuff.
No way I could sleep in dead silence.
Yeah, no, I can't at all. And especially not when you're up playing the game of like, is that the house? Is that the building settling? Is that the heater, or air conditioner, or is it a ghost? Like, because it could be any of the 3, so it's just easier to drown it out and not worry about it. So
what did the kids think?
So having me as a mom and growing up around what I, do, and my oldest son, who's 16, like he was, he would always beg when he was little to go on investigations with me. And I'm like, oh, you can't, but I taught him a lot. And so they're not scared. None of them are scared here. And all 3 of them have had experiences here. And they just, yell at the ghosts or whatever. They're like, stop it, whatever, leave me alone. Or they'll come and tell me like, oh, like my daughter will be like, oh, something was in my room last night and I just, told it to go away, basically. So,
right.
Yeah, sometimes when they have friends over, they're scared to spend the night because, my kids will tell them stories. I'm like, don't do that. You're going to ruin your friends.
I think like, you tell your kids like, hey, we're moving to Indiana and we bought this old like Masonic building. And they're like, what? And then they walk in, they see how big it is, and they're like, oh my God, we get to play in this.
Well, they were with us when we first toured the building. And they thought it was like Disneyland in here. And you know, before we actually put the offer in, we sat them down and we were like, listen, I know we promised a farm with goats and chickens, you know, and all this kind of stuff, but what do you think about this? I mean, they were little. My daughter was 2.5. Like, and like
Yeah.
we had a 2.5, we had like a 5 and a 7. And they were like, oh, this would be so cool. Like, we need to do this. And so they were all for it. Thankfully, because that would have sucked. But you know, now they're at the point where all but my oldest have lived here longer than they've lived in San Diego. So they've acclimated very well.
Hey, you constantly running around telling the kids to turn the lights off because the damn electric bill's so high.
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty good at it as far as remembering. But what's nice is the way like the second floor is set up. It's like you hit one switch and half the side, half of the building goes out at once. It's there. It's the way it's all wired.
Right.
So you don't have to like turn individual switches off. So.
I'll be back in an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing, honey? I'm going to turn the lights off. All right.
Yeah.
Well, sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you just get the clapper.
You know,
like
oh my
have
God.
it watered throughout the whole house. Like,
I want a
go to
coffee
bed.
so bad. There's been so many times Adam and I will be like laying in bed at night and I'll just be like, and I'm like, why doesn't it work? So we do have actually a lot of the Amazon smart plugs, so we can just tell the name to turn the lights. I don't want to say it now because stuff will turn off. But it'll, you know, so that's been very helpful. So yeah.
Could you just imagine the spirits start like figuring out all I have to do is clap to really fuck with them?
Oh my God.
Like, you know, because you have spirits that learn like, oh, I can actually whistle, and they start whistling domestic, you know,
Yeah.
like, it's funny, and you'll hear like they catch EVPs of them laughing after they whistle,
Yeah.
scaring people. So could you imagine if they're like, oh shit, that actually worked, you know? Like,
Yeah, I've heard like mimics in here, and I've actually there's been a couple times I've gone Randall, who's my neighbor, a couple doors down. I've made him come over because I'm like, dude, I heard a noise. I'm the only one home. I've checked the cameras. I'm terrified because it like I got home from the grocery store. This was like not even a year ago. And it was middle of the day. I was home by myself and I got up to the second floor. And as I opened the door to go in, I heard a cough come from, and it was the clear as day, like somebody like coughing up the stairs. And I froze because I'm like, shit, someone broke into the building, you know? And so I just set the groceries down right inside the door and like ran down the street. And I'm like, Randall, can you come over? And he literally came over armed and checked every square inch of the building. And he was like, there's nobody inside. So I was like, that's relieving, but also I don't want to mimic in my house. Like, no, thank you.
Does this Randall have a long Santa Claus beard?
He does. Yeah. Yep.
He's such a sweet old man.
He is. Don't call him an old man.
Well, I'll call him an old man.
He's
No,
young
it's
at heart.
you definitely have an interesting story, you know, and I know everybody's been captivated by you coming into the Midwest. Do you feel like the Midwest paranormal, though you came from the West Coast, do you think we opened you up with like opening arms, welcoming arms?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and I've said this to my kids because they, you know, we were very, very fortunate because of the online presence that I had even prior to us moving here, because I had no intention of making like a renovation Facebook page. I was just posting pictures on my own personal page before we moved here. And everyone's like, you need to make a page, you need to make a page. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I did, and then it kind of snowballed. And so by the time we moved here, everybody knew who we were. Even in Fort Wayne, I was getting recognized. And I'm like, this is weird. This is so weird. So, but I also think people were very curious. And for the most part, I mean, people have been very welcoming to us. I mean, having social media online with renovations, you know, you're going to get people that'll trash your design choices. And personally, I don't really care. Like, we've had a lot of people say that, oh, you shouldn't, you know, use that as your house. You really should turn it into apartments for the homeless, or you should do this and do that. And I'm like, why don't you buy it then? You know, I'm like, we volunteer enough and donate enough money, you know, for those kind of things. You know, and you just tune it out. You're going to get haters no matter where you go. The paranormal community, though, I had people reaching out before we ever moved here, asking if they could investigate. And I was like, they're like, do you know about the paranormal? And I'm like, yeah, I do. uh, you know, and I said no for a long time because I'm like, listen, like, let us get settled. Let us move in. Let me try to figure out what's really here, you know, because I will not sensationalize. That's why like I made like a thing that says like no demons and sometimes haunted, because you're not going to get activity every day. That's just not how it's going to be here. And I finally allowed a team to come in. Gosh, I want to say it was probably 2019. So we'd been here 2 years. INPR, INPR Paranormal, amazing people. And they came and investigated and actually got some really good stuff. That was the first team. And then after that, like, I didn't really let anybody else come in. I was like, we're still kind of renovating and, you know, we'll just kind of see how it goes. I mean, I was hungry to investigate. Like I told my TAPS team back in San Diego, I'm like, look, if you guys get a really good like referral from headquarters, or if, you know, you get something spectacular, let me know. I will fly out for it, because I'm like, I need to do something. And I didn't really know anybody out here in the paranormal community, like at all, when I moved here. And then it wasn't until because I was still really involved with like the TAPS community online, like in our private Facebook groups and stuff. And then one day, because I kept looking, I'm like, there's no Indiana team, there's no Indiana team. And one day they were like, oh, we'd like to welcome Trips Paranormal. And I was like, huh, Indiana, what? So I slid into their DMs as fast as I possibly could. And I was like, hey guys, you know, if you have any questions about, you know, not like trying to insert myself in their team or anything, just be like, if you have any questions, you know, about how the network works, I've been a part of it for over 10 years, like, you know, happy to answer any questions. And then lovely Dawn gave me a call and we talked for like an hour, probably an hour and a half at least. And then I met up with them and we just all clicked, and, you know, I've been hanging out with them for a while. So that's kind of how I came in. And now that we're like starting to let people come in more, I'm going slow, going very slow. But so, you know, I try not to, because a part of me thinks like, are people just being really nice because they just want to get in my building, or are they, you know, going to be truly nice? And I will have some pretty strict rules and regulations for teams that come. So,
Look, I mean, I'll be bluntly honest. Yeah, a lot of people, new person to town, they buy this beautiful Masonic mansion and it's haunted. Yeah, they're gonna befriend you for that building.
Of course. Of course.
You
Yeah.
know. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Should we get into it about the community itself?
Oh,
Well,
buddy.
before we do that, I do want to do some quick shout outs because I'm running the YouTube chat right now. So we've got Adam Stone, L&M Paranormal, D&M Paranormal are in the house, Debunk as well. And we do have a question. So I don't know if you want me to sit on questions or
Fire away.
Okay, so Adam Stone asks, what kind of advice would you have for a new upcoming group that's just starting out?
Ooh. Go slow. I mean, I tell people that really, like, because people ask me a lot, like, how do I get started in the paranormal? But like when you're forming a group, I think, you know, going on, I would, you know, as much as I hate public investigations, I will recommend them to new people, at least to get to know locations before you decide if you want to shell out, you know, $1,000 for Waverly or, you know, things like that. And I think having some pretty set rules and guidelines within your group, I think is super important. You know, making sure that there is a very high level of trust with every single person you're investigating with, I would say is probably the top thing for me. Because if I'm going on an investigation and Bree, you say like, oh, somebody just pulled the back of my shirt, like I'm going to 100% believe that somebody pulled on the back of your shirt and that you're not making that up. Because in this field, once you lose your trust, like you're done.
Yeah, completely. And that's a great segue into what you were just.
Yeah, I mean, we sat and had a long conversation with a good friend of ours, Bill Walter. He owns Broadhead Manor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, we talked about so much of the stupid stuff in the paranormal
Mm-hmm.
that we deal with on a daily basis. And it's getting to be extremely over the top.
Yeah.
You know, I like we sit back, we don't post about it. We see it all.
Oh yeah, same.
I'll comment, every once in a while she'll comment, but you'll never see us post about it. But it's like
Yeah.
today, I was talking to Bree about it, and I was like, I seriously just want to say something. I want to be like, can we all just fucking stop?
Yeah. Like full stop. Full stop.
Like, full stop. Let's just work together and have some
Yeah.
fun. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It really is. It really is. I really, really miss the old days, like early 2000s, like early 2000s investigating, where you had a camera and a recorder that might even still have a tape in it, like
Yeah.
and when I first started, like all the big places I've done in California, like never paid a dime for, because it wasn't as commercialized as it is. And I get now, paying for locations because I will fully support the restoration of these places, but people just go in and make a mockery of the paranormal. And I really feel like there's so many people that are in it to get famous right now, and it's just destroying everything that the rest of us have worked for decades to try to really research and take the field farther, and it's just destroying everything we're doing. It's like we take one step forward and it's like 20 steps back.
No, I agree. I didn't start back then. I had no interest in starting,
Mm-hmm.
until certain things happened to myself, that I got in the field. But then it even took me a long time to realize how big the community was, because that was never my intention.
Yeah.
Get in to do all this stuff. I mean, do podcasts, stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
Never my intention, But so, Teresa, you being in the field for so long, so you've seen the evolution,
Mm-hmm.
So you started back in the other century, 19th century, 20th century, whatever you call it. But you've seen the whole evolution, okay? Now the evolution today isn't network TV anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
streaming platforms, TikTokers, YouTubers, etc. Okay. Mainly, I would say YouTube, you get more money out of it
Mm-hmm.
putting your stuff on YouTube than streaming networks, but eventually the streaming networks will catch up and that'll come into play. With that being said, so investigating techniques. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have a residential case. Okay. You're doing one. It is strictly closed doors,
Mm-hmm.
other than the team discussing it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody hears about it.
Yep.
Now you go out to a pay to play place. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's pick one. Let's say Ohio State Reformatory.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
All right. Now, other than if you want to go there to film, make a documentary,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, an episode that's been done 100 times, there's no outcome for you there
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. Not like when you're doing a residential case.
Yeah.
You're there from start till it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you think we should still be investigating the same way as we do on residential cases? And the reason why I'm asking that, because you see a lot of people on these
Mhm.
TikToks and YouTube, including us. We're out there having fun, all our flashy
Mhm.
things, you know. Shut up! I like my flashy things.
I like flashy
With a lot
things.
of flashy things.
I like flashy things.
Honestly, I want your honest opinion.
Mhm.
You think even us doing this stuff is hurting the, you know, the real reason behind the paranormal field?
No, I mean, I love podcasts. And I think paranormal podcasts are important because I don't think it should go all the way back to when I first started where it was so taboo. Like most people, I didn't even tell what I did
Right.
because I think it's important that people are talking about it to further advance the field. Um, and I think getting different perspectives is important, um, within reason, of course. Um, and you're always going to have people with different investigative techniques and things like that. I mean, even when we go out and do investigations, like we don't post every time, even if it's a pay to play place. Like we don't post every single one that we do. Um, I don't know why, but I mean, the way I look at it and the way I've always looked at it with like the pay to play places and these big locations, my investigative techniques are gonna be basically the same. And that is where I like to experiment with different techniques, new equipment at those type of places so that when we do go into someone's home, um, we act like we know what we're doing. Like we've tried these things at other places. And we can see what works and what may not.
So you guys don't like pull back and just let loose and have a little fun with it. You go in with the mindset like we're going to practice.
Oh, I 100% have fun.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well,
We
that's
do
what
have,
I'm getting at. I mean,
yeah,
people tune in to even like me and Bree, and we're just sitting there and we're laughing and
yeah,
joking. Like, oh my God, that just went off. Like, oh my God, that's so fucking cool,
yeah.
blah. And you're talking with people. You're not really investigating. You're kind of just being a showman to it.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at. Do you think that part of it hurts the community at all?
No, because you're human. And, if you're going to be serious all the time, like, that's not fun. Like, even when we go to places, I mean, we'll even, laugh about things on residential cases. I'm 41 years old, but I have the mentality of a 15-year-old boy. So I can't like keep a straight
That's why
face
you
to
guys
save
picked it
my
up.
life.
Exactly why we kicked it off.
Like I cannot, I giggle at the most inappropriate times and I can't help it. It's just who I am. I mean, we'll be somewhere and oh my God, I laughed so hard when we were at the Pythias. When did we do that? A year ago? Um, they have all the really amazing taxidermy everywhere and actually bought a guinea pig and we named him James after one of our teammates.
I want to stuff guinea pig.
Yeah, I bought one and we named him James. It's black guinea pig. Because I bought him at Para Unity last year because James, our teammate, couldn't be there. And so Chuck was like harassing me. He's like, you need to buy this. I'm like, okay, fine. So I bought it and we named it James. So it's James. But anyway, so at the Pythia, there's all that amazing taxidermy everywhere. And I was feeling really giggly. And so I pulled up, there's a TikTok and it's like a small use. Belliboo, you know what I'm talking about? And then I kept just like randomly playing that in the dark and everybody would laugh, so we do have fun. And I think having fun is important, even when you're doing something that's serious. I mean, there is a time and a place for everything. I mean, if we did a residential case, it was actually a Dave Schrader referral a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. And it was a very serious, case. So there was no fun and games on that one, but there's a time and a place for everything. So I don't think it hurts the community at all having fun. It shows that you're human.
Yeah. Well, what about some of the, social media contenters that are, thumbnailing,
This,
I wrestled 6 demons in an attic and survived.
yeah, those are the ones that are ruining this field. I mean, I know some people will have different belief sets, and don't believe that they're ghosts, that they're all demons. And that's their faith base. I'm not one to judge them on it. However, I don't agree with a lot of these, trying to be careful with my words, with these, content clout chasers,
Love
where
that.
they want clicks and they want views and they want to make a living, scaring people. And, if that's what they want, whatever, but it's hard for the rest of us. And, when Sherry, DiBenedetti and I had coffee in Salem last year, we talked for a very long time about this and how, even for the bigger shows that are still on TV are having issues, getting to locations, even though they're a syndicated TV show that's been on for 20 years, and they are having trouble getting into locations because of people like these other TikTok, whatever, content creators that have just made a mockery of it. So it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. And I don't say I troll them, but I definitely call them out.
Oh, you troll.
Do I troll? Okay,
You do troll.
I do troll. It's all in good fun.
Yeah.
Like I troll everybody. Like Ray Gooseby when he says "shut up" to everybody. I mean, if I'm not poking the bear at you, then
Of course.
I don't like. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me.
Yeah.
You know. Huh.
But I think too, a lot of these, content creators, I think they're just in it to get a reaction, and I've seen this so many times, and I used to call it out, and after having conversations with other people about it, Sherry included, like, it's just not worth it to respond for me to any of them anymore, because it's like they don't take the time to debunk anything. The first thing that goes off, they're gonna think it's a ghost. If they're live streaming literally a foot away from a REM pod and it goes off, they're gonna think it's a ghost, or I mean, if it's across the room, whatever. But I mean, like I'll come across some of these live TikToks and in things, and I'm just like, are you serious? And people are like, I heard that. And I'm like, no. And same thing when like people post pictures on Facebook and some of these big like paranormal groups with people that are not investigators but like the paranormal, and they'd be like, oh, what's this picture? I'm like, it's a rock. It's not a face. It's just naturally pareidolia. Like,
a fucking rock, people.
It's not a demon coming out of a rock. Like, no. Like, but I don't comment.
Coming in Jesus Christ, calm down.
Yeah, like I have a sandwich press, and it's a grilled cheeses. So when you press it, it's a Jesus face on your bread.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not the
We need one of those.
Bless your heart.
And
I have those for like the Publix and make everybody a grilled.
Yeah, grilled cheeses. Yeah.
Here's this. Give this to your demon.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You got any more questions from me?
No, I'm not seeing any other questions. Everybody's absolutely in love with you though, Teresa. They are just loving the content. They're loving this whole demon stuff right now. I mean, my 2 cents on the whole demon thing is that, like, and I'm sure you understand this, is that it pisses me off for location owners, because a lot of people don't understand that some of these locations were bought to live in. They were bought for quick flips, and now they're stuck with it because they can't get people to stay to do the work. They can't rent it out because it's there's too much, depending on what type of a haunting it is. And you're giving that location a bad rap. So now people want to come in and be like, oh, is there really demons? And these are the people that are typically doing like the not cool stuff on locations.
Yep.
And they're opening the doors for stuff to potentially come in, and they're not closing them. But then you're also, what's the financial responsibility you're now hurting that family with? Like, yeah, okay, you just got 50,000 clicks. You just made what, 100 and, you just made $1,500 off that video. Good for you. You just cost that family 3 months of mortgage and utilities. But good for you. Go buy that new piece of equipment. Go get that, like that's what
Yeah.
pisses me off with these clout chasers. It's like they don't think beyond themselves. They're looking at the instant gratification, glorification of what they're going to walk away with. And who cares if I just left this a burning wreck behind me?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's what frustrates me is like there's ramifications.
Yep.
There's a lot of bad stuff that happens, and get your head out of your ass, stop being selfish.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about the location owners, because technically you are a location owner,
Hmm.
though it's not like your prototypical location.
Yeah, no, I don't make my living off of it
You don't make your living off of it. You're very selective in who you allow in the building, because
for now.
you don't have to let anybody in your building.
Yeah.
But let's talk about location owners, because people don't understand the location owner's point of view.
Hmm.
Whatever their mindset is to buy this building, they bought the building. Doesn't matter what they want to do with it. They're allowing you to come in to investigate it. Paying or no paying, they're allowing you to come in and investigate it. So if they want to pocket that money, because it's a business now, why should they get slack for that?
I mean, it's to each whatever people want to do with it. I mean, if this is their business, I don't see anything, wrong with that. I know there are people that have very strong opinions about it, that like if you're going to pay to go to a location and they're not putting that money right back into renovations, like how do you know they're not using that to pay for rent, or not rent, like insurance, that's what I meant. It could be going toward insurance, it could be going toward property taxes, like you just don't know. And I think a lot of people jump to conclusions when it comes to things like that. And even some of these larger places, people are like, oh, like Waverly, we just paid $1,000 to go there in a couple months, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so much money. I'm like, have you seen how big that place is? Like, have you seen just the electric bill there? There's not a whole lot of electricity, but it's enough. I mean, my building's 20,000 square feet. I know what utilities are like. We have to put a new roof on in the next couple of years. So, it's you just I think people really just jump to conclusions. And some people are just going to be mad to be mad.
Well, that's the thing. So if I go out tomorrow and I find this asylum, okay, and I purchase this asylum, and the whole purpose of me buying this is to allow people to come and investigate it. Now, as long as I go into the building, make sure it's safe, some accommodations, couple rooms, electricity, plumbing, heating, stuff like that. The rest of it, as long as it's not falling in, my whole purpose of buying this building was to make money off renting it for investigating or ghost tours or whatever. But people are still giving those people slack because they're like, well, they want it, they're expecting them to renovate it, But theoretically, people, you're not really thinking about it too hard, because if you go and buy this 50,000 square foot asylum, and you go to the bank, the building is worth, let's say, as it sits, $200,000. Then you go and like, okay, well, how much do you think it's going to be worth if it's fully renovated? So then you got to go to the insurance company and see how much they can insure it for. Then you go back to the bank. You're like, if it's fully, renovated back to its glory, it's going to take $2.4 million.
Yeah.
This is my point. You can have fundraiser over fundraiser over fundraiser every month for the next how many years? That money's not going to reach $2.4 million.
Yeah, no, that happened to us. Like getting insurance on the building is extremely difficult. Like everybody wanted to quote us full rebuild, and we're like, no, we just want, what it would be for our stuff, and to, basically knock the rest of it down if it were to burn up tomorrow. We don't want, because we were getting quoted between $3 and $5 million policies. And we're like, nothing is worth that here. Like, no, like not even close. But you gotta, insurance is expensive on large buildings because you have to have, liability and all that kind of stuff if somebody falls or whatever. I mean, you have, so you have people sign stuff, but still, you have to really cover yourself. And I mean, I don't see a problem with, if it's a business, it's a business. And if somebody has a problem with it, then they should have bought that building.
Right. But the catch-22 is if somebody was to purchase the property and publicly stating, like, I am going to fully renovate this. Like, this is my whole point. Like, he comes out or something's like, I'm not in it to make money. All the money's going to go back to
Yeah.
the building. So they go and they raise $5,000 to fix something. Let's say a roof. But then these people either bitch, well, why are you having another fundraiser towards the roof? Where would that $5,000 go to? Maybe at that point he had to put $1,000 towards insurance, $200 of toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? Maybe half the money. But what does it matter?
Yeah.
That's why I think, and I understand this, because obviously my time at the Bell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I understand the other aspect of it now.
Yeah.
And I have more respect
Mm-hmm.
to location owners in that aspect. And I mean, we talked to Bill about that this weekend. So, I mean, what do you think?
The only issue I have is when people are saying that they're buying a location, they are going to restore it, preserve it, and all of a sudden they got a brand new car that that they probably didn't have money for otherwise. The only income that they had really for spending was from the location. Because I've seen that happen. I've seen, and I just, my only issue is that when people are saying that they're taking care of the location and you can tell that the location, there hasn't been any effort made to put the patches on.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
to fix the sewage that's backing up. Or, it's not, they don't tell me you've got a cleaning service when I know damn well it ain't being cleaned because there's mouse shit in the silverware drawer, like,
Yeah.
Like, that's the stuff that upsets me is when because I mean, I'm not dumb. I know that you've got to have so many investigations to come through to cover so much stuff. I mean, I've got a business degree. I'm not stupid, but don't try to blow smoke up my ass telling me that, well, money's going to this, this, and this when it's definitely not. I mean, I understand it with a large location, $5,000, if you got to patch a roof for, like, say your square footage, 20,000 square feet, that's like not even a third of the roof. Let's be honest. I mean, that's like, that's like the size of this damn room.
It'll be like 30 grand.
I mean, I'm not dumb. Roofing, I mean, and especially because of COVID, building materials have gone up through the roof. I mean, it doesn't, you got to apply common sense to it, but don't tell me that you're, I just don't like seeing people being not following through.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree,
like, because I mean, I've been to locations, I've been to every weekend I'm at a location, and I've been to locations where they say, well, the money, this money from this event is going to this.
Yep.
And I've seen where I had to, no, because you've seen where it's not, and that's what's frustrating.
Yep.
To me. And, because I'm all for the historic properties, with what I do. I'm all for, I want to highlight, I want to bring people in, I want to help you meet. I want to help you get the income in to do what you need to do and to cover the bills that you've got so people can continue to come through. I don't like the.
So, Teresa, you said you have to get a roof in a few years. Estimated, what, 50, 100,000?
I don't know yet. We're going to do a metal roof. Because right now we just have like a rubber membrane. Because the roof is flat in the front and the back, and then there's a dome. My husband's he's gonna do the roof. So it'll save us a lot of money. Absolutely terrifies me at the thought of that. but we don't know how much it will cost. I know they were quoted 10, no, close to 10 years ago, they were quoted 30 grand for a new roof, and it's probably double that by now, but we won't be paying anywhere near that.
Well, it's just
For
that's what I'm getting at. Like a total cost, like a building like yours is like a typical size building for some of us to go investigate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of money, people.
Mm-hmm.
That's I guess that's my point. So
Yeah. Oh, we got a couple of questions that have
Okay.
since come in. So Adam wants to know, out of your years, what was your favorite piece of equipment and why?
Oh, out of all the equipment I've used.
back in the day when you had the video camera, you had to like roll it like this.
You got the cassette tapes, and it's like you gotta like use the pencil.
I got my
I
tube.
actually, I still have, I don't even know if it works anymore. It was a really old Sony camcorder. And it was like one of the first ones to come out with IR, but like the IR only worked like this far out. And I thought I was so badass when I got it. I mean, it's a terrible camera. I mean, I'm a camera gal. I currently have it's the Sony XA11. It's the ones that the guys on Destination Fear use. It's the same exact camera. That is my always in my hand on an investigation. Rigged with a boom mic or whatever, or a directional mic. That's probably my favorite. Because I'm in the camp where I want to catch the evidence. I want to hear it. I want to see it. Personal experiences are amazing, but in our world, and in the TAPS community, especially with residentials and referrals, like if we don't catch it and have proof to show the families, we don't talk about it with them because it's a very scientific approach,
Yeah.
scientific approach. So yeah, probably my camera would be my number one.
All right. And then L&M Paranormal wants to know, what's your favorite location, your go-to for pay to play?
Oh. This is such a hard question for me to answer because I've done a lot of big places, especially out like on the West Coast. Like Alcatraz is phenomenal. Queen Mary is amazing. All the places in San Diego that were my old stomping grounds. But probably one of my this is hard because I feel like it changes so much. So 2 years ago, well, a year and a half ago, we were in Ireland visiting my family, and we did the Hellfire Club in Dublin, which is phenomenal. If you ever have the chance, go there. It's quite the uphill hike. I did not realize to get to, but it's supposedly the place of the birth of Freemasonry. So naturally, I was like, I need to go there, and it was creepy as f. Like it was so creepy when we were there. But as far as here, pay to play, I love Randolph. Will always, every time we go there, I have such wild experiences. But really, for the longest time, my bucket list was Waverly. We went there last August. It was my first time growing up on the West Coast. It was going to be quite a hike to get there. It's always been my number one because my great grandfather was a patient there at Waverly. He didn't end up dying there. He actually went west to Bisbee, Arizona, because back then, everybody thought like, oh, we got to go west where it's dry, which is where he, ended up dying. He was like 28, I think, when he died. But he spent a good deal of time at Waverly. So I've always been drawn to there. And we had the opportunity to go last August and had an absolutely wild night. Like I still think back on it and I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the hell? So when the calendar opened on January 1st, like we booked it right away. So I can't wait to go back.
Yeah. Any more questions?
No. I mean, we do have a comment, that, somebody said that they literally had a location owner say, do you know how much money I can make if you prove this is haunted? And they say that,
Ugh. Ugh,
Yeah, yeah, that made me
I
sick
don't
to my
like that.
stomach and cringe. I think that's the people that fall in the line that say that they're taking care of the location, insurance, utilities, toilet paper, patching what they can where they can as the money's coming in,
Yeah.
and then you've got these people that are trying to feed off of us who are, yeah, you might see us going out there and having fun,
Mhm.
but if I know, like, for you guys, like with being investigative teams, if you're helping with a residential and you're not, that just puts a bad taste in my mouth, because
Yeah.
Well, it's true. It's true.
yeah,
Mhm.
you're gonna make a lot of money, but
You know, I've been people have reached out to me to come out. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna open an Airbnb. It's really old. It's got a history. Can you see if it's haunted?" I
Mhm.
said, "Sure. Come out, investigate. I will tell you if it's haunted or not.
Mhm.
And I'll give you whatever I have. After that, if you want to run with it, that's on them. You
now
Yeah.
know,
would you would you charge somebody to do that?
would I charge them
Yeah,
to do it?
if somebody said, "Hey, I want you to come out and prove my location's haunted so I can make a shit ton of money," are you gonna turn around and be like, "Well, you need to pay me so I can
Mhm.
help you with your profit, potential
I've
profit?"
been, I've been,
I
no,
mean, just out of curiosity,
I've
like
been
how?
paid to go out to investigate somebody's place to see if it was haunted. What's wrong with taking that money?
No, I no, like because I would be like, well, if you want me to come verify, you're gonna pay me too. So I that's because that's my
Would
mindset. You're
you
gonna pay
if
my,
somebody
you're gonna you want me to come out, you're gonna
if
pay
they
me for that.
contacted you for trips and said, "I'm looking to open this building. I want to know if it's haunted. I'll pay you $300." Would you guys turn it down?
Yes, only because we are not allowed to take money as being a member of the TAPS family. That's in their guidelines. Um, so we would have to turn that down, or we would just go and not take any money if if we had the time. But I totally get why, other teams would. We
Wait,
just
okay.
are not allowed to.
Who founded? Now, I'm not bashing him because he's a dear friend of mine. But who founded TAPS?
Jay.
Okay. Did Jay make a career on TV?
Mm-hmm.
Did Jay get paid for that?
Mm-hmm.
Then what is the harm? This is not, they're not coming in. This isn't a family that their kids are being affected. They're terrified. They're terrified to stay in their home. This isn't this situation.
Yeah.
They want a TAP certified team to come in, do a legit investigation to prove if it's haunted or not. What is
Mm-hmm.
what is
I don't know. I don't make the rules. I just, I follow them. I don't know.
text him? What's the difference, Jay? I don't know. I don't see the harm in it, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, Paranormal is not cheap.
No. Mm-mm.
I mean, we go to conventions, you go to conventions.
Mm-hmm.
If that convention is 300 to 400 miles away, there's hotel costs, gas, food, you name it, you're spending $1,000, your table, whatever. Or if you're asked to be coming, it doesn't really matter. Your table's not,
Yeah.
but this costs a lot of money.
It does. Yep. It's an expensive hobby.
I mean, how much did your camera cost? You
Uh,
few G's, huh?
yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I would, if somebody asked me to verify their location and they're willing to pay, I would do it.
Yeah.
I would totally do it. I think that kind of made me cringe though, because it's like the whole, if you're not in it for the right reasons, you're just in it to make money. Like the
Yeah.
whole,
Yeah, for
how much
sure.
money I can make if you can prove this is haunted. I'd be like, well, what are you paying me to prove it's haunted?
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
because I'll give you a thorough, legitimate investigation. I'll bring OWPS and I'd give you a call, be like, you want to come for a ride? You know, like
Yeah.
you're gonna pay us for our time.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing me, I'd probably tell him to kiss my fat white ass because I'm not gonna let you I'm not gonna beat off the rest of my friends, you know, like you're not gonna like set up a location.
Yeah.
I find that cringy. It's one thing if you've got a location that you love, that you care for. If you buy a location because you want to help better the community, you want to help. Here's another great place, you guys. Look what we
Yep.
found. Look what we stumbled upon. But if you're like, damn, I can make a shit ton of money off these idiots, I am throwing hands. I look good in orange. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, and I feel like, a lot I every time I think like we're coming to a peak in the paranormal world, it just keeps going. But I feel like eventually it's just gonna go right over the top and just, this big, surge in paranormal teams. Everybody thinks they're professional, which no one is. Like, you know,
Can you say that again?
no
A
one is
little
a
louder.
professional. No, I'm not. No one is. um, but I just feel like, it's one of those things where it's like it's gonna go up and eventually it's gonna get so saturated and it's just gonna fall apart. Or I feel like, you have people like that, like, come prove it's haunted so I can make a bunch of money. It's For as big as this community is, it's very small.
Yeah.
And word gets around, and that's how.
By the time you're sitting there eating your salad at lunch, it's all over the world.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I'm hoping it kind of just goes down a little bit.
The only thing I do agree in the community is, I don't take any money for doing residentials.
Mm-hmm.
I do get people that call me around the country,
Yep.
and I'm like, look, I'm flattered you called me,
Yeah.
unless you're gonna, pay for my travel, but I don't see you have to do that. Let me find somebody close to you.
Yeah, and that's why, like, with the family network, we have a directory and we can kind of look and see what teams, and then I'll reach out to them and be like, hey, here's what's going on, and then they, make contact. So I do feel like the community as a whole, and whether it's a TAPS team or not, like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're all kind of, doing this, and I do, that type of camaraderie I think is really important, especially when it's teams that you trust, that, because there's certain teams. I, mm,
Well, I've you've been around the field for a while, and I'd be like, you're talking to this well-known paranormal investigator, and blah blah blah, and I'm like, you're talking, and I'm like, well, how many residential cases have you done? What do you guys do? And they go like, we don't do residential cases. Why
yeah.
not? Why not? Well, that's just too much, and we don't want to make things worse, and we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that. And I always question myself. I'm like, then why the fuck are you in the paranormal field? I,
Yeah.
my mindset is still like that should be your MO.
Yeah. And then you have people who are either very young and inexperienced or have only been in the paranormal a little bit, and they gallivant into these people who are terrified in their homes, and they make it so much worse. Or even, potential locations, like, for instance, Winchester Mansion, was that Elkhart? We were the second team to ever investigate. We were there a few years ago. And the owners told us that they had one other team come in, and it was a horrific experience, that they didn't want any other teams coming in after that. And then, we were able to go, and we were actually able to explain some of the things that were happening. It's a beautiful, beautiful location. It is haunted, but, it's just, all it takes is one team to destroy,
Yeah.
whether it's a family or a location. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Cody Sharp says hello.
Oh, hi, Cody.
That little guy is everywhere. I love Cody. Me and Cody have a past.
Cody's a hoot. He came with us to Post Town. I'm talking about you, Cody. And it was my personal mission the entire night to jump out and scare him as many times as I possibly could. It was awesome.
12 times. No, I don't know. And I don't know. I feel like you're probably right. Maybe by like 2030, I think
Yeah.
paranormal field's gonna start trending back down. Um, I don't know. We'll see. The good, the bad, the ugly. The only positive we can take out of it is that the paranormal is being talked
Yeah.
So
Yep.
based on a comment, oh no, you're fine. I'm curious if there's an up and coming team, they're just starting out. Would you suggest that? How would you talk to them about doing residential cases? Would you suggest what would what's the advice that you would give to a team that's just starting that would like to look into residential cases? There, that's better.
I would, and I've done this in the past, out in California, where we would, like if somebody reached out to us like with that exact question and we had, a residential coming up, we would first ask the homeowners like, hey, do you mind if we bring along some newer investigators who kind of want to learn the ropes? And every single time they said yes. And so, I mean, I would really recommend not doing a residential by yourself unless it's your own home and you're willing to take that risk, or because you got to start somewhere. But if you can, try to piggyback with another team who's done them before, to kind of learn, because the way you approach things is completely different, and there's been so many, requests and things, and after making initial contact and the whole thing that you do that happens for weeks before you ever like actually investigate, like it's a whole lot more than just showing up with your equipment, and there's a lot that goes into it that people don't realize.
about. I was going to say the same thing. I would say you need to find a reputable team and shadow them for a while
Yep.
before you even attempt to do a residential.
Now, here's a question that you're welcome, Adam. So, here's another question that I'm going to piggyback on this because that was our friend Adam, or is with a team need to do residential because there is the potential of something going wrong, it being something way bad, and there needing to be multiple visits, or what if you have to bring more help in? Would you suggest, like, would they need to look into, like, would you turn that into like a business, like making sure that there's insurance, making sure that they've got waivers? What would you suggest for a team to make sure that they are legally and properly prepared to walk into a situation?
Oh,
Would you just say contact me and I can help you? Like, well, no, because I mean, like, there's teams out there that, okay, I've done my shadowing like they suggested, I'm ready to go. But what would you say the next step is? Like, would you say that they should get, is there insurance that a team could get to protect them, like liability? Is there, because there's got to be teams all over the place that are probably, going to go shadow somebody, not based off this podcast, but have done that.
Yeah.
And that want to just, as soon as they get done with, their 4 or 5 cases of shadowing, they want to go and start helping people. But you also got to make sure yourself as a team is protected. So how would you suggest?
You mean like if I trained a team and then they went out, like protecting ourselves when they're out without us?
No, like, how would you suggest that team, now you're done shadowing, you're good to go, but what would you suggest that
Legal-wise.
to make sure that they are protected when they're going into somebody else's house to help them? Because I think we all are well enough to know, we're all we all know stuff can happen that in the paranormal that you're not always going to be prepared for, and things can
Yeah.
go south, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, what would you suggest to prepare to protect themselves?
I mean, liability insurance is very expensive, depending, on any plans that you get. I don't personally carry liability insurance. I mean, I do for our building, and all that stuff. But this is why we do so much prep work before we ever do an investigation. The initial, they fill out the form online, you make contact, part of our questionnaire, do you have firearms in the home? Are they locked up? We ask all these questions that some people might be like, oh, why do you want to know that? But, you got to ask those safety questions. And we'll even do a walkthrough on like an afternoon, just to see like, and we've turned cases down where, you go in and you're just like, this just doesn't feel right. So that's why I think that prep work is so important before you ever set foot at night with your equipment in a property, like a house.
I want to piggyback off that. Even if you get the insurance, there's two ways to look at it. There's so many loopholes in that insurance clause.
Yep.
Okay. It's really not worth it.
Mm-mm.
Even, you can go in. This is a long business answer, but waiver liabilities for yourself, for the homeowner. Okay. Media releases, just because, and I always tell them, I said, look, I'm not going to post anything, but for fuck's sakes, if there ever was the holy grail of holy grails that ever happened in your house, but media releases, your teammates media releases, those are number one, because not everybody gets along for eternity.
Yep.
There's so many different aspects of loss that can happen. You literally gonna have to take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Well, I just figured I would piggyback off the first, because okay, you want to shadow, but what is I want to make sure that people that are watching, that if there's something else that they can do to protect themselves once they're ready to go out there, that they're doing what they can.
Teresa talked about all the prep work before they even step in for that night of investigating. And Teresa's 100% correct. There's so much work that goes into, from, forms to initial phone conversation, a lot of research, to hard questions, to asking the silly ones. Is there a firearm? I've ran into a case where there was a firearm involved.
Yeah.
And I had to call the cops. And the cops got to look at you like, you're doing what? You know what I mean? It's just an awkward situation.
Yeah.
Just fill it out. Okay. To, your initial investigation with them, my mindset is if I can solve it before we even investigate, fucking great. Let's just keep it. But even before you get the case, there's so much you need to learn. You need to understand, psychology. You need to understand different aspects of 100 different religions, because the people's beliefs in their home, odds are going to be different from your beliefs. So you need to understand the family's beliefs and their thinking and everything in the house.
Well, yeah, you want to be respectful for sure.
Yep.
Then you need to find a network of people at the end to help you resolve the case. Like if you get to the point you're like, this is exactly what's going on. This is what we think is in the building. This person's going to need this. This person's going to need that. This is going to need this. So you might need a network of people at the end of your investigation in your case to help actually finish the case.
Yep.
So yeah, I scratch my head when people say they don't. Because again, why are you in the paranormal field? But then again, I guess I do understand why they don't, because it is a lot of fucking work.
Yeah. Yeah. And investigating that night is one thing, but then you have weeks of evidence review. Very tedious evidence review.
And in the meantime, these people keep calling you. Have you figured it out? Have you figured it out? Have you figured
Yeah.
it out?
It's getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else before we move on?
I am going through real quick.
No?
I don't know if I can read this out loud. It's from Cody.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
you can say whatever we want.
Hey Cody, you've already put it on YouTube, so I'm just gonna read it. He says he's making a special device for the spirit stalkers. It just keeps reminding them that it's not a demon. Adam said thank you for everything, for all the advice, for the questions that I asked based off of his comments.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he basically said thank you because he didn't ask the questions. He had made a couple of statements,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that his team is up and just starting, they haven't done anything yet. I figured I would ask that, because
Well, I
there
mean,
are people that are going to watch that are up and coming that don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, no, those are excellent questions. And Teresa's an excellent person to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Questions. What her and her team does here in Indiana is, one of few in
Yeah.
Indiana that actually do that kind of work. So, no.
Well, we had talked about that when we were out to lunch. So I think that was like the first 2 hours. So
Probably.
So, from what I understand, it went from lunch to coffee to cocktails.
no, but next time it
Cocktail.
will.
Next time it will. Yeah.
It will.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
might be
yeah.
calling you like, babe, we need help.
No, you'll just come here and we'll drink here, and then you guys
Can
yeah.
you just get us to the couch at home? Oh wait, it's not like this anymore. It'd be like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Or
everybody
like
still
this.
does. Like I still
Or
catch
do it
myself
like-
doing this, and I'm like,
do
wait,
it
I guess I need to do this.
Well, the people that grew up in the 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
And we went like this.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you would call, and kids, you would have to dial 0 for the operator to call.
Mm-hmm.
And when we didn't have the money for it, my mom would be like, put your name as I'm done with drill train practice, come pick me up. Like say it as fast as you could. So yeah.
Yep.
All right, Teresa, we're going to ask you 3 questions we ask everybody on the podcast. Are you ready?
I guess.
I mean, these are,
Oh, great.
these should be on the CBS Evening News style questions.
Oh no.
Oh, just kidding. All right, so tell all our listeners in 40 countries across this globe, what is one interesting or weird fact that most people don't know about?
About me? Oh no. Interesting fact that most people don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm not very interesting. That people don't know. God, these questions are hard.
I struggled with it too. Then I went with my stupid human trick. I could shove my fist in my mouth. So
Oh.
I was like, I don't know.
I mean, I can like move my eyes kind of independently, I guess.
What?
Okay,
Like
watch.
you can make them look different. Like
Watch. You see it? I don't know.
that's cool though. I can't do that. So and I didn't know you could do that.
I don't know what else to say.
Where are you looking, Teresa? What are you looking at?
I don't know. The ghost.
You see her over there. You believe she wore that tonight?
Right.
All right, the paranormal field is very quirky when it comes to their food and their snacks. Most of
Mhm.
us like to glutton for punishment. We love to go to Mexican restaurants for
100%.
investigation. It's like a cardinal sin.
It's my punishment, not yours.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing it. So, hence the Mexican food. But anyways, so during the investigation, everybody has to have some type of drink or snack.
Mhm.
What is your go-to?
Twizzlers.
Twizzlers?
Twizzlers, not red vines, because that is nasty crap. Twizzlers.
Strawberry, cherry,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And beef jerky. I usually will have beef jerky too.
Specific
And-
flavor of jerky.
I don't care.
She
And
just
whatever other like candy I can throw in a bag.
Any energy drinks, coffee?
No, I don't do a lot of caffeine. I have a bad heart, so I can't do energy drinks. I just started drinking caffeine again for the first time in 15 years a couple months ago. So I'm taking it very slow. So yeah, I will bring like a Dr. Pepper, and that will last me the entire night and keep me wide awake.
Wow. I'm probably going to I'd probably just die if I just my body would just die.
You know, I would. I think I might go hide for a couple of days because you'd be like, "Grr."
Yeah, I would be a grumpy bear.
I'd be locking him in the bedroom. People are like, "Where's Nick?" They're like, I'm hoping another 24 hours and he'll calm down. I'll let you know."
All right, next question. This one's serious and very difficult. It's very serious.
Oh no.
All right. You have one night. It's one investigation. You're only allowed to take 3 pieces of equipment. What are you bringing?
Camera. Cat balls.
The
'Cause
ball.
they're the best. I love cat balls. Probably gosh. Lately we've had some really good results with like little motion detector lights that you buy at a hardware store, and we stick them inside doorways facing in. We've had some incredible results with those because EMF's not going to set them off. Like basically stuff that we can use where if EMF is an issue, which it is at a lot of places we've been, things like that. Those are probably going to be, I mean, we have a lot of like,
I
really
know you have a
good-
lot of equipment. I've
We
met
do.
Dom. I know.
Yeah. I think I have more than Dawn. I mean, I have like 8 cases over here, but like, I don't know. I feel like we have all this fancy equipment and you don't really need it. Like, it's fun, and will I continue to buy it? Absolutely. But you don't always, less is more sometimes, I think.
I love those little cheap motion sensor doorbells.
Yeah. I just
Oh,
bought
yeah.
another one today. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
to me, I mean, I was trying to explain to her, I was like, look, you literally have to have some type of mask for those.
Yeah.
Go off. So it's like
Yeah.
we
Woodlawn.
were at Woodlawn Estates.
That
and
was. I'm not gonna lie, that scared me.
big mansion. We're on this side. I set this thing in a doorway.
Mhm.
We're on the other
Here.
side. We're sitting here investigating. All of a sudden, here, ding dong, hello. We both were like,
Now we already did a walkthrough during the day. There's no evidence of animals. The doors in the
Yeah.
back are locked. You can't get in. The only way in is the big ass door next to us that goes when you open and shut it. And the door didn't make it squeaky, funky noises. So we're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Those lights are amazing.
we need
Like,
to get more of those.
we had the best results. So Post-Town Elementary it's in my top 5. I've only been there once, but the team has been there before me, and they have this video clip that we show at all of our classes, like on our library things, like of these lights in the doorways and interacting with kids, and like, okay, turn the fire one on, it would turn on, and then the next one, like it was amazing. And when we went back last year with Cody, the same exact thing happened. Like, same exact thing. Like, we asked them to turn them on, and they did, like, in succession. Like, it was wild. So don't sleep on those lights. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Go get you some.
We'll get you some of those. All right, Teresa, plug away. Anything you got? Social media?
My house page it's Freemason to Mansion, TO Mansion, on everything. I'm really bad at YouTube. I basically just upload videos from elsewhere onto YouTube, but I haven't uploaded anything there in a while. But the one video that's on YouTube on our page, and it's on Facebook too, but it's the original walkthrough video that I did right after we bought the building, but like before we moved here. And sometimes, I mean, it's kind of long. I think it's like 45 minutes long. but sometimes I'll go back and watch it. Like I cringe, like hearing my own voice, but just to see like the difference of what we've done to the building. Because sometimes, you get in this rut and you're like, oh, I feel like we haven't really done much, but in reality, we have done a lot. So I post to mostly Facebook. TikTok, I'm not the best at. I got really involved with it and it just kind of became too much. But there's a lot of videos on there. And then our team is Trips Paranormal on everything. I think, yeah.
Trips, like tripping. Trips.
Yeah, tripping.
Now, but wait, you gotta plug October.
Yeah, wait for the best part. The best part for last.
Yeah.
What's going on
Unity,
in October?
October 19th in Peru at Miami County Fairgrounds is Para Unity. This is the 6th year that the con has been put on, and myself and my team, we were asked to be the hosts this year. And I immediately said, yes, why not? And then I was like, oh, what did I just agree to? Because it's a lot to put on a convention. But I have the most wonderful committee of past hosts and people who have helped put it on, because there's no way even just our team could put on something like this. But yeah, it's free to attend. So come, all kinds of vendors. And if you are a vendor, if you're a team, if you sell something, if you make something, we want you. We want all teams that we can get, and anything. And vendor booths, they start at only $25. We're keeping prices really low. We'll have some speakers and shenanigans for sure. So yeah, come check it out. It'll be fun.
One of my favorite Paragons, mainly because it's majority of us is teams here in Indiana.
Yeah, and it's like
together.
laid back. It's not stuffy. It's not like last year was our first year attending and speaking, and and I was just, I mean, it wasn't the first one I've been to, but it was the first time I've been to that one, and I just was blown away just how much fun everyone was having. And there was no like, I'm better than you at all, like I've seen at a lot of other events I've been to. So it's just, the atmosphere is really, really fun.
I love Unity. I know, I told Jeremy this, and everybody else, Corey and Amanda and everybody else, Clarissa. I said, this is an event that as long as I'm doing this and you guys are doing this, I will be here. It is one of my absolute favorite ones, because it's a lot of fun. It's laid back. Everybody's having a blast. The crowd that comes in is very interactive. The community has embraced it there.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite, and I look forward to it every year. So, hopefully we can get help get the word out too, to get more people to come down and be involved, and maybe eventually there'll be 3 full buildings.
We're considering that. We're gonna see. That's on the possibilities list for this year, depending on what we can finagle. But for that site on Facebook, if you look at Para Unity, the Paranormal Convention, that's like the page, and then it's pinned at the top is the registration if you would like to have a vendor booth and hang out with us. Yeah,
definitely. You got a team, get hold of Teresa, come out. It's a fantastic time. It's just a full day of fun. So, but Teresa, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully we see you before then.
Yeah, well, we'll see you next weekend.
Oh yeah, you'll be at Windermere, won't you?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll catch up then.
Yep, for sure.
All right, guys, another wonderful episode. Next week, who are we going to have next week?
We are having the beautiful Brooke, the owner of Wildwood Sanitarium.
Yay!
And Brooke, I'm sorry, I can't. I never. It's like Crystal, so it's like Crystal. I think Crystal. Like Crystal. I always say it wrong, so I'm just like, it's Brookie.
Well, babe, thank you for filling in for Sean Coletta tonight.
You're welcome. I got your back.
You're definitely, it was nicer looking at you than Sean's ugly ass.
Well, maybe I should sit up here every week then.
Till next time, guys. Thank you so much. Episode 104 in the book.